So you just watched all these national interviews, but on a show called The American Dream, of course we got to dive into the real estate market. We have handpicked the best top producing realtors in your market to give you advice out of your own backyard. Let's go see what they have to say.
Welcome back to The American Dream. My next guest is Ryan Wilson, owner and realtor of the Wilson Group with Keller Williams Realty. Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm so excited that you are on our show. It is such a pleasure to have you here. I know this is your first time on The American Dream. And I also know that your team is one of the top producing teams in Boston and the surrounding suburbs. So you certainly are the perfect person to talk to about the real estate market right now in Boston. What's happening in your area right now?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's a fascinating market. It really is. We're in a really interesting time right now in the real estate world. Boston is a booming market, and the surrounding suburbs around it are also booming. We are what most of the country is a huge lack of supply right now, and that creates a lot of pent-up demand. So right now we're having buyers that are wanting to purchase properties but having a real difficult time purchasing properties. But at the same token, it's an amazing time for sellers because they're literally netting the most that they've ever been able to net by selling a property in the area. So it's a really unique time.
So if a client came to you and said, "Is now a good time to buy?" what would you say?
I'd say absolutely. The banks are giving away money at a very low interest rate right now, so it's certainly an unbelievable time to buy. But on the other side of it, it's also a great time to sell because they're getting the biggest profits that they've ever gotten. So what people always ask me is it a good time to buy because prices are really high? And I say absolutely, because rates are so ridiculously low. And if rates were just to rise 1%, that would be the equivalent of the property value increasing approximately 11%. So what a lot of our buyers are trying to do is lock in at that low rate, borrow money inexpensively from the bank so they can get into the home, start buying down principal, and really get the American dream, which is purchasing a property. That's
the goal, the American dream, isn't it? So do you project in 2018 continued appreciation in homes?
I do. Obviously, it's everyone's best guess. Everyone's best guess. But I do foresee the property values to continue to increase year to date from 2017 and from 2016. Property values increased approximately 8%, while the supply of properties actually decreased approximately 2%. So we're having less properties on the market, and properties continue to increase in value. So I do anticipate that to continue. But if you look at the 50-year trends and averages, and we figure property values started to decrease, around 08, 09 until about 2012, and they've been essentially steadily increasing since about 2012. We have to come to a time at some point in the coming years when property values do start to plateau or start to go in the other direction. And typically you see that a little bit in the higher end market, which has slowed down slightly over the last 18 months or so. So that's usually the first indication that the market might start to slow down. But we just had this past weekend a property put on the market, and we ended up getting 24 offers. So, there was 24 interested enough people to put pen to paper, submit an offer, and that's a really good indication of how strong the market is. So
yeah,
it was pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
So it really defunks the myth of putting the property on the market around the holidays. You actually can get a really good price for that. So.
Well, isn't that true that people that are looking to buy around the holidays are really serious buyers?
They are, and if someone's willing to put their property on the market during the holidays, then they're seriously wanting to sell. They're not wanting to deal with, showings when there's snow on the ground and getting their house dirty and having to clean up for everyone. So if they're willing to sell and put their property on the market in the winter and, between Thanksgiving and the New Year, it's usually a pretty good indication that they want to move.
It certainly is. Well, I have so much more to talk to you about, Ryan. You're going to need to come back. I want to talk to you about why your team is so successful, some of the other involvements that you have in the community where you give back to such incredible organizations. So we've got a lot to get to the next time. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we will be right back with more of The American Dream.